to open TX.
So, you're a gamer, but you want to start flying drones. The most important selection that you're going to have to make whenever you start this hobby, and there's a lot of selections to make. There is chargers, equipment, motors, cameras, video transmitters, but the most important selection you're going to make is your controller, which in this hobby is actually called your transmitter. So if you ever hear anyone saying transmitter, that's what they're talking about, this thing. Now, if you've been looking at transmitters, you may have seen one that looks almost exactly like an Xbox One controller, and that is the Turnigy Evolution, which I used for a good year. Now, I've sold mine, but I did some pictures to compare the two, and here are those pictures right here. So you can notice that it is almost exactly the same profile and height as this Xbox One controller. This is a special edition Dark Forces controller. And now, just a little background on where I'm coming from. These are some of the other transmitters I've used since being in this hobby. So this is not just the first two selections I've used. I've used the DJI one. I've used the Devo 7 that comes with all of your Walkero products, various other little micro Sima things, and of course these last two, and including the FlySky. So why is this your best bet? Now this is the QX7S. Now really your best bet can be this or the regular QX7. Now this does come with some extra things. If you want to know what those things are, go watch one of the other videos. This isn't about what it comes with. This isn't an open boxing. This is about why, if you're a gamer, you should get this controller as of right now. Now that may change in the future, but here is some of the selections that I made at arriving to this after flying with all those other controllers. So, one thing I don't like about this is that it is huge. It's gigantic. It feels a bit as though you're flying with a brick. And sometimes when I'm out there flying, I really feel like I'm doing this because it's freaking huge. Look how big this thing is. It literally almost is as wide as this brick. And it's almost as thick too. Look at that. I mean, come on. But it really is the best. A lot of people told me to go with this. Now, I started with the cheap FlySky radio, like a lot of people. It's only about $43, and it's a good value. But after that, I had the choice of going with the regular QX7 or the Turnigy Evolution for about the same price. Now, they kind of fool you because they priced the Turnigy Evolution at $67, but that's not really the price because Hobby King charges you like a bazillion dollars for shipping, which is absolutely ridiculous. So out the door, the QX7 and the Turnigy Evolution are really about the same price. So I went with the Turnigy Evolution because it's just so much smaller. It fits in your hand perfectly. If you're a gamer, boom, you're already used to holding this for long periods of time. The switches on the back of the Turnigy Evolution are in the same places as your trigger buttons here. Amazing. What brilliant attention to detail going towards what the majority of their consumers in their market was going to be used to holding in their hands. The switch placement was amazing. So why did I get rid of it? Because FlySky receivers are just absolute garbage. These are the two things that you have to work with. Now this is the FlySky FS8S. This is the version 2, but it's still a piece of junk. If you throw this in a 5-inch build, you will get brownouts, dangerous brownouts. You'll get fail-safes. Your copter will just take out and fly into the sky. Now this is the FrSky XM Plus. As you can see, it's actually even smaller than this. It has 2 antennas, which is even better. And I just didn't want to desolder it from this copter here. But just to show you a comparison. Now this size is okay, but it just doesn't work. I had a copter almost take my head off upon arming, just flying to the sky. Now this is the larger X6B receiver. Now look how huge this thing is. It actually works pretty good, But when you start getting into some smaller builds, I happen to use the Hyperlight Floss 2. This is a pain to fit anywhere. It just doesn't go. So I had to get rid of it. I just couldn't take it anymore. So I finally bit the bullet. Now I got the QX7S, which comes with the upgraded Hall sensor gimbals. It's awesome. It feels really good in the hand. Now, one thing I noticed as soon as I made that transition from Turnigy Evolution to this is that I started crashing a ton. Look at how far the stick travel is on this compared to your controller. Look how far it is. It's very short. Now look at the full travel of this stick right here. Oh my God, it's really far. Now you have to get used to holding it. Like at first I want to hold it like this, which makes it a little bit of a stretch to reach the top ends of this. Now, for you gamers out there, especially you people that play shooters, look, you notice this stick I have on here on my right stick. It's a little bit longer so I can get that extra resolution for where I'm looking at, and I keep the left side shorter. Now, a lot of people kind of say that when they start flying FPV, it feels backwards from playing first-person shooters. And that's because you kind of look around with your right stick. Now, it's not exactly the same on a quad, but some of your yaw, you're basically your yaw and your throttle are on the other side. So if you notice here, I actually keep this left side a little bit longer than this side. And the only way I do that is I just took this little extension off on this side to get it a little bit shorter. Now, I've not seen anyone else do this. Everyone mostly prefers to keep these the same length. So your mileage may vary on this, but this is something that I personally prefer. Now, the gimbals themselves are massively better than the Turnigy Evolution. They are really smooth, but it takes some getting used to. It took me a lot of getting used to try to hold this thing. I kept fumbling around with my fingers. Where do I put them? Do I grab it right here? Eventually, the hand placement I found was just grabbing it just like this on the back. This little plastic rubber piece is actually very comfortable to grip for a long period of time. Now it is a bit heavy. You have to kind of sit this in your lap. And the other thing that really sucks is you actually have to take the battery out in order to charge it. You can't just plug it in via USB like your Turnigy Evolution. Now I am using the upgrade. Now one other noteworthy thing is that it is so large and it's so unprotected. As you can see, all these switches, gimbals, etc. are exposed. On the Turnigy Evolution, it just had that plastic cover that fit over the top, and you could throw it, you know, like that in your flight bag, no problem. You really need this stuff protected. Now, this is the case that comes with the QX7S. It's really nice. And of course, it also comes with these gimbal protectors, which you always want to run. But look how big this thing is. It takes up a ton of space. This takes up like half of my flight bag. Now I have to like stuff all my quads on the side because I got to carry this dang suitcase. I mean, this is bigger than your lunchbox whenever you were in 4th grade that could fit a whole friggin' thermos in there. And the sad thing is, some of the people that have the regular QX7 that this doesn't come with are like trying to find these cases because they need some way to transport their radio so that it doesn't get smashed. I've seen plenty of people just complaining because they smashed their switches off, either because they dropped them or just getting broken in transport. So that's one other thing of note that I don't like about this. So just to kind of recap, the gimbals are awesome. The precision you're going to get is great. Switch to FrSky as soon as you can. Even if you're going to upgrade later to something like Crossfire, this is your base platform that you're going to use. Now, Crossfire, if you don't know, is something that uses this little module bay in the back. You know, you kind of stick your little module, it goes in there, and then that allows you to use another protocol. Crossfire is a lower latency. It does require you to buy additional receivers though, so just keep that in mind. I only use 3 switches on here. This for my modes, this for my buzzer, and this to arm. One other thing that I really want to harp on before I kind of go is, when I was flying the Turnigy Evolution, I could land so smoothly. because as your hands are on the sticks, you can easily hit these switches back here. So I actually had my modes here and my arm here. So what I could do was when I was ready to land, I would switch it into auto level mode and then just lower my stick straight down and then boom, disarm. I would have the smoothest landings every single time. And a lot of the people that I fly with noticed when I switched over, like, how come I was just crash landing all the time? I noticed a lot of racers do that. And that's because when you fly with a severe amount of up tilt, you can't see the ground. So you kind of just have to get close to the ground. A lot of people kind of fly in a circle and then just kind of let it fall. And I still can't do that. Like, these switches are on both sides, but I can't easily, while I'm trying to fly, flip this switch up to get into auto level mode, land here, and then flip this switch. It's too hard. It's too spread apart. They're just not where your fingers are. You got to kind of move your hands around. My normal finger placement for those fingers is here. And like I can't reach my thumb over while my thumb's supposed to be on the stick. It just doesn't work. So that is a complaint. Now, eventually there is a new version of an FrSky controller coming out. It's going to be called the FrSky X Lite. Now I have that on pre-order, so when it comes in, I'll do a review comparing it against this. But until then, this is your best bet if you're starting out. A lot of the older guys have the X9D. It's a perfectly good transmitter, but it's even larger than this in some ways. And I just don't think it's quite as ergonomic. If you look at the controller that Doc Brown is using in Back to the Future, it's like a big giant Futaba, but it looks almost exactly like the Tyrannus X9D. That thing's been around forever, like 25 years. Redesigned it already, and this is the redesign, so it is a little bit more ergonomic, but I don't know, still not perfect. Do yourself a favor, don't get into FlySky. The receivers are junk. If you do have to switch like I did, you're going to have to buy all new receivers. So I had to buy like 7 or 8 new receivers to go on all my quads, which was a pain. So just start out with FrSky. I recommend QX7 or QX7S until something changes. These things are about 99 bucks for the QX7. This one is about 185 bucks. Comes with a battery, upgraded gimbals, gimbal protectors, and of course the case I mentioned. So start off right, guys. Don't meander around wasting money like I did. Do it right the first time.